Today, we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm in the bouquet making station, but instead of starting off with making bouquets, we're going to go harvest the pumpkins that I have. Now, last year, I tested out pumpkins in a whole pile of different spots. I tested them in my back garden beds. Got really poor results. I tested some locations out in the front garden beds, and on the trellis that goes between my two dahlia beds, one of my Jacoby little pumpkins actually got a pumpkin, and that was literally the only pumpkin that I got. So this year, I tested them in some additional spots, and I had one really good spot, and we're going to go harvest the pumpkins now and see what I got. So I'll take you into the front garden beds and where all the dahlias are growing, and we'll cut the pumpkins and see what I end up with and bring them back here and go over what I'm going to do with them. Okay, we're entering the front garden beds. As you can see, there's still lots happening here. We've got cafe au lait roses. A couple of those might be ready to harvest tomorrow. Lots of my bolt, which is a yellow ball dahlia. I've got my Wanda Scapella dinner plates, my Keith H. water lily that I harvest quite small, but if I left them on the plant, they'd get quite a bit bigger. Got a dog over there chewing on her ball. Lindsay Michelle's just getting ready to open. I harvested this morning everything that I had available. Spartacus down there, Labyrinth there. Oh, this is something I wanted to show you. I have harvested all of these sunflowers, but if you leave the stems from where you harvested, they continue to grow taller, and then they get these little side shoots on them with flowers. So I leave them because the stems are too short for me to harvest and use. But I leave them for just for the prettiness of it. And then, as you can see, I got lots more Spartacus growing in here, or getting ready to bloom in here. Not so much the AC Loomis. See, I got a Labyrinth over there. Over here's where my pumpkins are. This is the spot that did really well this year. So last year on this trellis, I got one, so I planted some more against here. And so far I got one little tiny one on here again, and that's it. And on this side, none. The dahlias just took them over. I planted the pumpkins earlier this year thinking that they would get a head start on the shadowness that the dahlias caused, but that did not happen. So that's not a good spot on the trellis. I've planted sweet peas here. They've done all right, so I might have to go back to sweet peas. Just quickly, you can see my Petra's Wedding ball dahlias are fully loaded. Joey Frambe. And my Wizard of Oz, which is a pink dahlia, is mostly white now. I mean, they're all just coming in as white and lost pretty well all of their color. Over on this side, I've got some of the Vasio Megos? I can't remember anymore. And I'm pretty sure that I'm not going to grow them again this year. And then over here, there's a few, get out of the shadow, AC Benz growing. I've got some of my Park M's, the big ones coming up, and the ones that reverted back to Park Princesses, Arabian Nights, lots of my Edinburghs. And yet none of that is what we're dealing with today. I just wanted to show you that. What we're dealing with today is the pumpkins. I'm going to put my box down, which I have here, because it's sitting on my hip and annoying me. I'm going to get out I think I only need my scissors. This is where my snapdragons are growing, and I did get a really good second flush. I'm still getting a few more, but I mean, if you look at it, it's not really worth harvesting. There's just hardly anything left on them to harvest, and most of them are gone. Most of them I did do. But if you look at my pumpkin bed, which is starting to die back, I got a lot of pumpkins, and I only got Baby Boo, and a lot of them have these little blemishes on them, and I don't know what they are, but the blemished Baby Boos are going to be one batch. So if I just, for instance, cut this one off, maybe I can just, there we go, just snap it off. See, it's all over the little blemishes. It's like the pumpkins that get warts, only they're not warts. So I'm going to harvest them all, figure out what to do with the warty ones, but you can see I've got lots here. I mean, look at that. If I follow the vine, there's none in this spot, but then you come down here. Here's one that was more protected, which, oops, doesn't have any warts on it. And then in here, there's more, and there's quite a few over here, and lots down there that you probably can't see. But I'm going to go around and I'm going to harvest all the pumpkins, and I'm not going to do that in camera because that'll take too long. So I'm going to get harvesting. See you in a sec. So I harvested all the pumpkins. I decided to actually leave them on the ground around the bed that they were growing in, because there was pumpkins growing at the side back of the bed started and at the side front of the bed, to see where I got more pumpkins from. So we'll spin you around and we'll have a look at what I got where. I also, while I had 2 baskets that I put all the pumpkin debris in, I am not going to put it out. I am going to leave it in the baskets for the winter so that it can freeze and thaw, because it has some powdery mildew on it. The only things in my yard that get powdery mildew are pumpkins and zucchini. But the thing is we get very little snow over the course of the winter, but we do get enough soft freezes at night that there's a lot of freezing and thawing and freezing and thawing, and powdery mildew does not like freezing temperatures. It will die in that. So I'm better off just leaving the pumpkin debris, plant matter, out for any powdery mildew that's on it to die in the freezes. And what I will actually do is I'm going to the beach once a week with the dogs for their hikes, which takes an hour, and there's enough seaweed on the beach now that also in that once a week I get a bag full of seaweed, and I am, after I've watered the seaweed down to get rid of salt, I am putting the seaweed on top of some of the narrow sunflower beds that I have that don't have deep dirt for compost and mulch. And on top of that, I will lay the pumpkin debris with the powdery mildew, because I'm not worried about anything surviving affecting my sunflowers at all. And it probably won't survive anyway, and then it can break down and also help nourish the soil beneath where those sunflowers grow, where it's not really deep enough for me to dig in compost. But anyway, let's go see how many pumpkins I got. By the way, I forgot to mention, if you are wondering who I am Evelyn, and I grow on Vancouver Island in Campbell River. We are zone 8B, it's in Canada, and we are in a temperate rainforest climate, so which is one reason I am, even if some of the pumpkins aren't ready to harvest today, I'm harvesting them. It is Wednesday, and Saturday we're starting our rainy season. So on Saturday it shows forecasted 2 weeks of rain, and the pumpkins aren't going to get much better than what they are now. But that's okay, because the dahlias will continue growing, and until we get a freeze, which is not forecast for the next 2 weeks, I'll still be able to have the flower wagon going with bouquets, etc. for the next 2 weeks. And yeah, so and also that's it. Yeah, so let's get, sorry, I'm all confused. I'm actually a little out of breath from doing all the pumpkins from all the bending over. Anyway, let's see what I harvested. So here's the bed that had all the pumpkins around it, and they're all gone now. We started harvesting on this end. I showed you the first one, which had a lot of those warty things all over it. Which one was that? Put them all down here. This one. This one's got warts on it. I thought it was this one. Yeah, this one. This one had warts all over it. But it appears that pretty much none of the others do, so that's good. So what have I got? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that would be all the pumpkins I got from this side that were planted in this corner, and then the other corner will be the rest. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27 on this side. So the 27 on this side and the 12 on that side is a total of 39, which I think is pretty good. So this is definitely a good spot for pumpkins. Swinging around here on this bed, I'm going to do the same thing then. I'm going to start next year, start pumpkins in this corner as well as on this corner and have them go this way. One of the reasons I think they did really well here is because, whoops, sorry, they're right next to the house, and the house really heats up in the summer, like gets really, really hot. So I think the heat that radiates off the house was great for the pumpkins. Although really the ones on this side wouldn't have gotten that heat, and they did better. Anyway, doesn't matter. We'll figure it out next year how they do. So I'm now going to box up all these pumpkins. I've got my box over there. I've got 2 baskets full of the pumpkin debris because that's all that was left. I'm going to put those out of the way, and I will meet you back in the bouquet making station. We're back in the bouquet making station. I can't believe how that exhausted me. I don't bend over well, so I kind of had to do bending over in that. I couldn't do a lot of kneeling down to do it or whatever because I was moving too much. So bending over a lot makes me out of breath because I probably don't breathe when I bend over. So what we're going to do now is, see, I've got all the pumpkins in here, and I'm going to go through them all and test to see if they're hard enough. Like this little one is not, and the ones that are not hard enough I'm going to put in this thing because they won't have a good life. But most of these, and you test them by just hitting them with your fingernail. I'll show you what I mean on this little one. So hopefully you can see this, but if I hit, where's my thumb? There it is. If I hit the pumpkin with my fingernail, you can see it leaves a fingernail mark. That means it's not cured. If I do that and it doesn't leave a fingerprint mark, that means it's cured. And I mean, basically most of the big ones will be cured. The little ones that aren't completely cured, I'm good with that because I'm going to use them in bouquets, and we're going to make a bouquet with them. I didn't want to say for sure we were going to make a bouquet until I knew that I had enough of them. So I'm just going to continue going through these and doing the fingernail test to see which ones are cured. And then I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with them all besides making bouquets. Making a bouquet will be one thing that we do. If you are enjoying this video and you have been watching my videos and you enjoy them, please consider subscribing. It helps my channel out quite a bit. And if you're liking the video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, if there's any videos that you would like to see in the future that I haven't made yet, leave it down in the comments section below, and I'll see if I can add that into my roster for videos that I'm going to make for the upcoming months. Because now as we enter into the winter season, there's less to do outside, even though we haven't had a killing frost yet. And then I can spend a bit more time putting together videos that would deal with topics that something that you would like me to address. Anyway, I'm going to continue testing out all of these pumpkins. Well, I know this one's not ready. My fingernail went right through it. Continue testing out all of these pumpkins, and then we'll make a bouquet. See you in a sec. So I've got them separated. In this little box are the pumpkins that are not completely cured. Those are going to be the ones for the bouquets because I have to make a hole in them anyway, so they're not going to last forever. The pumpkins in this box are the ones that are cured, and we'll deal with these ones after we make the bouquet. Now, you might be wondering how you make a bouquet with pumpkins. Well, you take a barbecue skewer, just a regular old barbecue skewer. Oh, I never turned the lights on in here. Just one sec, I'm going to turn the lights on in here, and hopefully that'll be better lighting. Okay, lights are on. Oh, I bent down so I could point out. The camera's pointing the way it's pointing. I'm going to take out, some of these pumpkins were sitting on the ground, so they don't look that great for bouquets. So those will get eliminated out of the uses that I want. I also want to use small ones as best I can. This barbecue skewer does not have a point on the end. Let's find one that does. This one does. You want one that has a point on the end like that. Because what we're going to do is pushed up in here. But before we do that, I went and harvested some of my sunflower stems that didn't have flowers growing on them. So you can see on the end of this one, it's a little brown. We'll end up cutting that off. And then I cut this off right at the soil surface. So we're going to cut this little browned area off because we don't want that. And I'm going to take the flat end of the barbecue skewer and I'm going to feed it down into the stem as far as I can go, which isn't that far on this one. That's as far as, oh no, I'm going farther. Good. It'll just follow the stem. I've got lots more because I'm going to push the top into the, ow, just poked it into my hand. Ah. Okay, so I need to cut off about that much of the barbecue skewer. So let's shorten it and push it down in there again. There. So now I've got just that little bit of the end sticking out because I don't want it, might still be a bit too much. Okay, I'm going to pull it out and shorten it a bit more. There. That's better. Okay, short little end. It won't come through the top of the pumpkin, and then you can always tell where the center of the bottom of the pumpkin is there. So I'm going to just put the point of the skewer there and just push it in. And now I have a pumpkin on a green stem that I can add to bouquets. Now I figured I'm bleeding a little bit from where I poked myself. That's okay. I learned last year that you can't put this in the center of a bouquet because it's too heavy. So it has to have an outward low down position within a bouquet. So we are going to, you know, I don't have any laurel leaves. I am not organized today. Just one sec, I gotta go cut some laurel branches. I usually cut a whole pile of laurel branches in advance because they have such a long vase life. And when I put the last bouquet up at the flower wagon, I realized I had my last stems of laurel branches to use. And I knew I was going to have to cut a couple more before I did the video, but I forgot. So we're going to use 2 because that's what I use in every bouquet. Okay, we're going to start with a pumpkin. We're then going to add snowberries. First making sure I have no rotten berries on there like that one. Pull that off. They're going to sit up higher. This is going to end up being a bit more of a front-facing bouquet simply because the pumpkin will have to be sitting out the front of the bouquet, obviously not the back because what's the point? I'm still getting snowberries even though I thought I wouldn't because we have had some rainy days, but surprisingly not very many. But that will change on Saturday, which is when you're watching this video, if we're having 2 weeks of rain. So again, on Friday, I'm going to harvest a lot of snowberry branches so that I can still make bouquets using them. They have really long vase life as well because 2 weeks of rain will turn the berries into mush. Okay, so then we're going to do dahlias. Now I like to use dinner plate dahlias in my bouquets. So we are going to, hang on, this is going to be my next bouquet going out to the road. So I'm going to use the dinner plate dahlias that are going to be the next ones to use. I'm going to use the pumpkin as though it was one of the dinner plate dahlias. So instead of putting 3 in the bouquet, I'm only going to put 2. So I'm going to use a tartan, and I'm going to use a labyrinth. And they're going to form 3 sides of this bouquet. I almost feel like, no, that's the way it's going to be. I'm still getting sunflowers, but they're really slowed down because of the lack of daylight hours that we're having. We're having less than 10.5 hours of daylight right now. So even though I've still got sunflowers coming online, they've really slowed down to which ones are opening. But anyway, the next thing I'm going to put in here is my astilbe fronds, which are fresh and alive, have very long vase life, give that autumnal color, And they have lost their spring color of pink or red or white, but they do add such a beautiful fall flavor in a bouquet with that brown tinging to them. So I'm going to grab the 3 oldest ones of those. Age doesn't really matter because, like I said, their vase life is extremely long. In fact, everything in here, the vase life is extremely long, except for the dinner plate dahlias, which I'll get a good week out of, especially at this time of year. The pumpkin vase life, even though it's not cured, is still going to be over a month long. So this is a bouquet that, except for the dinner plate dahlias, will last a long time. So this is what the bouquet is looking like so far. Now, I did say I wanted the pumpkin to be the front of the bouquet, and you would think that right now, well, the dinner plate dahlias are really taking advantage of the more dominant position in it, but we're going to change that with sunflowers. So we're going to go to the, whoops, don't tip that over. We're going to go to the oldest sunflowers, which are these 3, and we're going to pop. This is a red lemon bicolor, which has pretty much lost all of its red for this time of year. We're going to pop one of these on either side of the pumpkin. And this is a very, very tiny red lemon bicolor. This is the other thing. The sunflowers are really going down in size. I don't like the leaves on this one. I'm not going to use that one. I'm going to just toss that into the compost. These leaves are too low. I'm going to grab then a gold light that I'm going to put in between the labyrinth and the Spartacus. So that's the one side of the bouquet done. And as you pivot it, as I pivot it and look at it, I go, well, clearly I don't want that leaf there because it's covering up the pumpkin. I'm going to have to lift it up a little bit higher. And I'm probably going to put in an extra, you know, it's not flopping. I really do want to put 3 dahlias in here. Can I get away with a 3rd dahlia in here? What have I got in here? Labyrinth and Spartacus. Yep, got to do that. So it's got a labyrinth right below the white pumpkin. So I've got 3 much smaller sunflowers than normal. I've got 3 astilbe. I've got 1 branch of snowberries. So 3, 6, 9, 10, 11 for the pumpkin. And then we're going to put in some laurel leaves at the bottom because I love how the bouquets look with the laurel leaves at the bottom. They just frame it out nicely. And that's the bouquet. I'm going to tie it now. You know what I could have put in here? I brought these out to start using. They're all tangled. I brought these out here to start using. These are dried poppy pods. They're actually not from this year. I don't have any that were dried from this year. But the dried poppy pods, I'll put one in just so you can see how it looks like in the bouquet. Add another really nice autumnal look into the bouquet. So I'm actually at 14 stems now, having put that in there. But that's okay. These are leftover from last year's, so they hold up really well. So that's what this bouquet is going to look like. I'm now going to get my tie. I'm going to go a little closer so you can see what I'm doing. Can you see me? There. I'm going to take the tie. I've turned it into a double loop there. I'm going to lift my thumb and I'm going to hold it so that the loop is there. I'm reaching around the whole bouquet. Then I'm going to go through the loop. Oops, sorry, through the loop and pull tight. I don't know if you saw that very well. And then I'm going to tie it like I would tie a shoe. And now, doesn't it look beautiful with the pumpkin in there? Now I'm going to, my hat keeps pushing my glasses down. Go Blue Jays! Where am I here? I'm going to look for the shortest stems, and I'm going to cut the long ones to the height of the shortest ones. And then I'm going to take a picture of it up against my bouquet making station here, featuring the pumpkin. So this is not a bouquet now that I would take a picture of it on 3 different sides, because the whole purpose of this bouquet is the pumpkin. Now, you do need my, I'm just going to push the slough off my table. I have a hand mixing concrete trough below, which I sourced from the beach. It came up in a tide, if you guys all remember, that I push my slough off into, and then once a week it gets composted. Need my phone to take pictures of that, and then I'll be back. So I'm now going to show you, hopefully fairly well, how I wrap my bouquets, because I like how I do it. But I'm going to borrow the stand that I put them on when I take pictures. I'm going to grab one of my wraps and another tie. Now you may notice I used to have the roll back there where the dried poppy pods are now. But because we're getting into we've had some rainy days, I don't want my roll of craft paper to absorb moisture. So I'm now keeping it inside, and I've just got a stack of cut ones there. So first thing I'm going to do is just take my approximate 18-inch square. I don't measure it exactly, doesn't really matter. And I'm just going to, oops, fold it into a triangle. So then, normally I say look for the place on the bouquet that you like the least or needs the most support and put that against the triangle this way. But because we want the pumpkin facing out, we want the triangle up. I'm going to have to tip the camera down a little bit so that you can see what I'm doing. Just a sec. Let's tip that down just a little bit. If I cut my head off in the process, so be it. So let's try that. Okay, so we have the table, we've got the bouquet. We want to keep the pumpkin facing opposite of the point, and we want to just fold this over in line with itself so that it's pretty squared off at the bottom there. And then we're just going to crunch it. Whoops, there's my table, my little stand, whatever you want to call it, flops out. So now it's crunched. And this is where, because I'm determining that I want the pumpkin in the front, I have to be careful not to smush up anything. So I will just fold back the point a bit and keep it so that when you push up, it should stay below these things, but I'm going to make sure there's leaves in the way here. And then I hold the bottom of the stems and I push up. And then I just have that. Where's my pumpkin? There it is. So pumpkin's now in the front. That's the bouquet. I'm going to grab my other tie wherever I just put it. Probably put my stand on top of it. No. Grab another one. It'll show up. And again, fold it in half. Put it across the bouquet. Hold it with my thumb. Get the ends so that they're even. Bring it all the way around the bouquet. Feed it through the loop. Pull tight so that it holds itself in place while you just tie a little loop on it. And there's my bouquet with the pumpkin in it. Isn't that pretty? Isn't that perfect for the end of October bouquets, having a little pumpkin in there? Got another ball for the dog. So I'm going to grab a milk jug that has had its top cut off and I fill these up with water in the morning because the water's really cold. I mean, it's only, what was it outside this morning? 3 degrees Celsius. Chilly. It's a little chilly cutting flowers in the morning now. I'm not even going out till 9 o'clock and it's still only 3 degrees outside. Our airport went down to -1 on Monday night, but it's on a higher elevation. So that was a little worrisome, but the temperatures are warmer again at night. They're going down to, I think, 4 degrees tonight, which is actually warmer than it was this morning when I went outside. Anyway, I'm just going to put the bouquet in here. I am going to put the stand back here. Put the bouquet on the stand, and this will be the next bouquet that goes up to the flower wagon. So that's what I'm going to do with all of these pumpkins. Well, not all of them, most of the small ones, because they fit nicely into the bouquets. This one's a bit too big. I may end up using it anyway. And we're going to put these over here. And then we're going to do something with the pumpkins that have good harvest life, good shelf life on them. I'm going to actually tip the camera up again because I am cutting the top of my head off a bit. I don't have to tip it up much, just a little bit. There we go. Hopefully that's better. And we're going to grab this box of pumpkins. And I use this. Every year I do a Christmas show at the museum. All the artisans that sell in the museum gift shop are part of a Christmas show where within the museum we have our own booths where we sell, I sell my limited edition prints, my signed photo prints, art cards, magnets, all that sort of stuff. But I also bring this, and I have my homegrown garlic in it. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to fill it up with pumpkins. Ooh, some of these are nice and flat and good for stacking. I'm going to put some pumpkins in it and put it up at my flower wagon. And then people can buy, actually I should put the smaller ones on the top, shouldn't I? I'll probably just come through here and, before I put it up, and actually hose them off a bit so that they're clean. But for now, just so because while I'm filming, I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it. I'll put some bigger pumpkins down below and some smaller pumpkins up top. And I'm going to sell these. And Bruce, when he was grocery shopping, he checked the prices of pumpkins at the grocery store. So mini pumpkins are going for approximately $3 each. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sell these $3 each or 2 for $5. And yeah, that's what I'm going to do with all of the pumpkins that have good shelf life on them so that people can buy them and use them for their own decor. Any that are really ugly, I'll just use myself in the garden for decor. But you saw my front garden. It's got so many dahlias growing in it still. It doesn't really have the ability to make a nice autumnal display with pumpkins in it because it doesn't look like fall with all the flowers planted in it. So I don't spend a whole lot of time making, big pumpkin displays or Halloween displays or anything like that. And our Thanksgiving has already passed. We just had a 3-day long weekend, which was our Canadian Thanksgiving, which is why I didn't film on Monday because that was a holiday. Today is Wednesday. And yeah, so I know that down in the States, you start getting all your pumpkins and corn stalks, which we don't do corn stalks at all because we're too usually wet at this time of year, are already having them out. But here, we tend to wait until after Canadian Thanksgiving to do that. And then it's a really short season because then after Halloween, that stuff all goes away. So these are going to go out starting today, which is Wednesday, which I don't know what the date is. You're seeing this on Saturday. I'll put the date up on the screen. And I'll have until October 31st to sell my mini white pumpkins. It's too bad I didn't have any of the Jack B. Littles, which are the orange ones. But surprisingly, none of them came up this year. Whereas last year, none of the baby boos came up. So that's what I'm doing with all of my pumpkins. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys all next week. Bye.